few moments.
Let's see, I need to share that with.
And let me share my screen again.
And to get it onto the Lume Pad, I do Leah Tube.
You want to go to YouTube first and
Yeah, I think I
start the
followed your
stream
link.
that way.
I'm there and I hit share.
And then hit share. That's right.
Right. And then do I need to select Leah Tube to
And then you
see
share
it?
with Leah Tube precisely.
Okay, got it. Yeah. All right. There we are.
Give
Okay.
everyone a moment
Perfect.
to do
Yep.
that.
And turn off the other lights.
Now, our first image of the evening, actually, I don't have the name of the maker. So if someone would like to take credit for this, we'd be very interested. The title is Stone Specular
Now,
Highlights.
our first image of the evening, actually, I don't.
We'll need everyone to mute their devices if you're using a 3D TV or a Lume Pad. All right, do we have a maker for this one?
Mute their devices if you're using
supposed to be
a
uploaded.
3D TV or a Lume Pad.
That's streaming, and I didn't mean to upload it.
Oh, okay.
Do we have a maker for this one?
It's got retina rivalry, but it
Mute
wasn't.
their devices if you're using.
If it wins an award, it's mine.
Right.
That's streaming, and I didn't mean to upload it.
Oh, okay. Do we have a maker for
All
this
right,
one?
guys, we're having an audio
Retina
problem here. I'm
rivalry,
sorry.
but
All right. Looks like we're picking up some echo, so I'm going to have to ask everyone to stay muted until your image is up to be commented on. Let me move on to one by Melinda, and the title is Sunset Fiddler. Melinda, take it away. You might need to unmute yourself.
Yes, indeed. Just had to find the button. You guys hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
So yeah, this is, you've seen this location many times. It's just a magnet for all kinds of interesting people doing interesting things. And this was a fellow the other day, just playing the violin, playing very well too. And it was nice. We had a silent interchange. I walked up to him with the hydrogen one and kind of raised my eyebrows and showed him my camera, and he nodded okay. And I took a couple of shots, and then I put the best one on the display and held it up to him, and he was obviously a little surprised and pleased, and he didn't stop playing all the while. He was he's probably a professional.
Excuse me, but I don't see anything. Should I be?
I'm not seeing any the 3D images either.
When you say you're not seeing anything, are you following along on Zoom or on YouTube?
I tried YouTube. It just kept endlessly spinning and wouldn't load for Anaglyph YouTube. And right now, all I see is the gallery during Melinda's talk about it.
All right, let's see.
That's what I see as well.
We're getting it on the Lume Pad. Looks great.
Oh, there we go. It's on. Thank you.
Oh, great. Okay. Wasn't sure what that glitch was, but looks like we've got it resolved.
If you want it on a bigger screen, I can turn on the 3D TV. Okay, let me do that.
Okay, thank you, Melinda. Let's move on to our next image of the evening. This is by Bob Blueberg. Oh, you know what? I think I was meant to move this into next week's, but here it is. Newt descending a staircase. Bob, what can you tell us about this one?
Aside from the bad pun, I took this photo at one of the 3D cons of the staircase, and then added the newt and the sky, and the bad pun, and that's about all I can say about it. But that's basically an actual place. Just didn't have the sky there. Or the giant newt.
Or the newt.
No.
Very good. It's like an ode to Escher or something, a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. And also a little tip of the hat to a nude descending a staircase.
It's very effective.
All right. Thank you, Bob.
Sure. My pleasure.
Oleg, are you with us?
Yes.
Oh, great. I didn't see you come on. Sorry about the glitches earlier. We've got one by you up next. Dog Walker on Main Street in Ventura.
Let's keep this on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
So I can switch it, but then we have to move.
Mm.
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
Oops, I want to mute here.
Oleg, are you with us?
Yes. The reason I took that picture is because of the sky. I like the way it dominates the top of the picture. And I waited for those people to arrive. And that's the photo. The white pavement stripes sort of separate the picture into the upper right. It's a sort of a picture in a picture. I like that kind of composition.
And we saw this before from the opposite direction, right?
Right. I took a lot of pictures at that corner.
I think you had a lady in red or something.
Yeah. You're likely to see me more later on.
And I like your clouds too. They're very dramatic.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you, Oleg.
Thank you.
Jay, here's one by you. And I think I recognize one or two of the subjects here. This is Public Domain Day at Internet Archive. Jay, I know you were there. What can you tell us about this event and this photo?
For those of you who don't know what Internet Archive is, they basically try to back up the entire internet. I think they've been doing it for 20 years almost. And every year when more public domain, when more copyright expires, that's Public Domain Day. So the big celebration was Mickey Mouse. The original Steamboat Brewery is now public domain. It's still trademarked. We can't use the modern version, but we can use the old one. And sorry, I don't have a pic of Melinda. And we really have to visit it during the daylight. It's in a old Church of Scientology building, and they made these mannequins of people, workers who's there for more than 3 years. Really interesting place.
Yeah, we learned about this event from the event host who dropped by our meetings a couple times, and he mentioned it. I didn't realize he was actually hosting it. I thought he was volunteering, but it was a great event. Yeah, you can see me in this photo, and Melinda was there as well. And I'm glad somebody took photos of it because I left my cameras at home. And this was like a, I guess this was a social activity, the jigsaw puzzle, which we didn't get very far with. Bob, I've got one by you up next. This is Alice in Muir Woods. Bob, I think you're muted.
Okay, now we're back. I was just trying to get us set up on the 3D TV on the large screen here and do a switch over. Yes, okay. This is a shot I took in Muir Woods and decided it could use a little mirroring. So that's a mirrored shot using Stereo Photomaker. And then I put in a couple of characters from Alice in Wonderland. I actually have a version of this with the Tennille illustrations. I have Tweedledee and Tweedledum in that cave in the tree, and the Cheshire Cat hiding behind one of the logs. But this one I liked for the color and the balance.
You place those characters perfectly too.
Thanks.
And the mirroring works beautifully. You'd swear it's almost a single shot.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. It really looked like a physical space within that mirror. And of course, the whole mirroring of Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass. They're about to collide.
Did you have the Queen of Hearts in there somewhere too? Or?
No, I didn't put her in. I just thought to keep it to the main characters.
Yeah.
Alice and the Rabbit.
And Bob,
Didn't want to clutter it up too much.
And where did you find the characters, the Alice and the rabbit?
Alice was a composite. I found a couple of, one was an Alice costume that one site was selling. And then I think I had a head from another shot. And I think the rabbit was fully formed on some, I think I just did a Google search and then cut him out and did a little bit of adjusting in Photoshop to move his head forward. I'm looking at it on a small screen, previewing it, so I can't remember. No, yeah, I did some 3D effect on both of them.
It's funny you have that showing there today, Robert, because I was looking through vintage images and saw a picture of Alice Liddell.
Oh, yeah.
Original Alice.
Right, the inspiration.
Inspiration from, yeah. So it just,
and it was just, I should have posted. I did a variation of, it was John Tennille, the illustrator of Alice in Wonderland's birthday, just the other day, and I did a conversion of a self-portrait that he did, and I put several of his characters in the shot. Maybe next week I can post it. But yeah, no, it's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, very well composited and a great subject.
Very well done.
Steve, we've got one by you up next. Plimpton Friends. Who are these people, Steve?
Okay. Well, that's me and Bill Plimpton. And this is an animator. The woman next to Bill Plimpton is the tall guy. The young woman is the animator who made a short film at Pixar. And I talked to her. It's quite interesting. She owns the film, even though she made it at Pixar. I haven't heard anything from a big company like Pixar, but that's their Spark Shorts series. And this is on the far right is my friend Karen Jacobson. The only reason I'm including this, because it's not a great picture, is that it's a cha-cha. I handed my phone to somebody working at this Alameda Festival, which was just 2 weeks ago, and he just shifted his, just sort of like getting a different angle, and none of us moved, and he moved just the right amount, and I said, "Oh my God, that makes a cha-cha with 4 people in it." It's a miracle.
Amazing.
So,
And if people aren't familiar with Bill Plimpton's work, they should definitely check it out on YouTube. It's wonderful animation.
oh yeah, Bill Plimpton is an absolute maniac, amazing animator. He's made 9 hand-drawn features and like 40 shorts, and most of them are really funny, hilariously funny. He's a machine, but he still takes time to go to festivals, and he's a very engaging person, and really a nice person. I'm glad to know him, and so yeah, he was right here in town showing his new film called Slide. It's sort of a Western corporate takeover parody.
If you have a link,
It's
Steve,
a bit
put it in
much.
the
It's not
chat.
my favorite of his films, but I love all of his work.
Could you put his name and whatever link into the chat?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
Guarantee you've never seen any animation like this before.
He did a free workshop there too. You had to pay for the there was a discussion about the state of animation. They didn't talk much about AI, but I cornered all the lecturers. I'm trying to remember the woman's name, Marina. Anyway, I'll have to look her up. But Bill and her, and then 2 other guys were on a panel, and I just coincidentally cornered all of them and got to talk a little bit more about AI. Most of them are kind of, hesitantly optimistic about AI. I'm not so much myself, but it's definitely an interesting topic. I'll go ahead and do that.
So you trained the photographer on the spot to shoot a cha-cha. Does this photographer know anything about 3D or stereo, or
I wish
did
I
he or
was
she
that
even know what you were
clever.
talking
I
about?
didn't give him any direction at all. I was just looking through my pictures, and it just worked.
Did you ask them to do the cha-cha, or was this a happy accident?
Not at all. Completely happy accident.
Oh, wow.
Complete coincidence.
That's, yeah, that's a real gift. When I first saw this, I was wondering if it was a conversion, because there are just a few airs that catch my eye. Particularly, it looks like the subject on the right, the woman, her eyes closed slightly in between exposures.
Yes.
But
Okay.
otherwise, everyone seemed to, I mean, did you tell them to stay still, or was this just
No. We just posed,
just lust?
and they took a picture. There was no plan to turn this into 3D. I got a much better picture. Actually, Karen took a picture of me talking to Bill, and instead of this dumb, promotional thing, she got a nice angle on this Alameda Theater, which is this wonderful restored, I guess it's like a Deco period, or maybe even older, but it's this beautiful theater. It's just really elegant, with multi-levels and lots of carving, and I don't have a 3D version of that, but yeah, I wish we did. I'm glad she just sort of like candidly took out her camera and took pictures of me talking to Bill. And yeah, the backdrop is considering how, I don't know if you've been to the Alameda Theater, but it's really worth the trip. If you're in the Bay Area, it's right there. It's right in our neighborhood.
Yeah. This could also qualify as found stereo since it wasn't necessarily intentional. And of course, you could always do a conversion on that photo you're describing where you're conversing with Bill Plimpton, but I'll leave that up to you. I'd be really curious to see what a conversion would do to that backdrop with that text and the logo, where it would put those things in space. All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
Jack,
everybody.
I've got one by you. I hope you're still with us. This is lights. Jack, are you with us? We may have lost him. Oh, I see you, Jack. Jack, you're muted.
Okay. Would it be better if I turn the light off? Over here. Yeah.
You need to click the microphone button, Jack, on Zoom. You're muted. It'll probably say, it'll be a microphone that's crossed out and it says unmute. All right, Jack, why don't you spend a minute or two on that and we'll come back to you so we can hear how this was made. Before we do that, though, Steve, we've got another one by you, and I'm going to let you share the title.
Oh boy,
I can't read French.
I'm not very good at French. Sacré-Cœur. This is up on the hill in Paris. And it's a cha-cha with my camera. I see a little flaw on the edge there. I didn't notice when I was putting this together, but I guess it's not the most typical place. I mean, everybody knows about Notre Dame and the Eiffel Tower, and I was just looking at a map and I saw, oh, this looks interesting. So we went to Sacré-Cœur.
It's a great hyper.
Thanks.
What do you recall? What time of day this was? It's got some interesting light on it. It's got some contrast too, but I think it lends a bit of mystery to it. Was this around middle of the day or so?
It was probably, just maybe a little bit before lunchtime, maybe 11.
All right. And how long ago did you shoot this, Steve?
I'm going to say about 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah, to pretty much just randomly look through pictures that I hadn't sent to the club.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Oh, actually, I do want to ask, did you shoot this like from a moving vehicle, or is this like a sidewalk cha-cha?
It's sidewalk. Yeah, I just took a couple of steps, to the right, and with the idea of turning it into 3D.
Hey, Jack, it looks like you're unmuted now.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear
Okay.
you loud and clear. Yeah.
I went through. I don't know how I did it. I just pushed buttons, and it seems to be working now.
Yeah. Well, we're going back to your photo, Light, so it might take a few seconds to catch up on YouTube. But why don't you tell us where this is and how you made it?
This was just in a sort of an auditorium. They had these decorations there, and it was a very, very difficult one to look at. I did a lot of work on it to try to make it easy. I'm sure people are having trouble looking at it now, but it was kind of a fun one to work with. I would classify it as barely usable.
Oh, I think it's a great subject. Verticals always lend themselves well to stereo photography.
Was a cha-cha, of course. I can't remember how. It was probably 3 or 4 feet. I probably would have been better if I did half that much.
How does it look
Yeah,
to those looking at it on a 3D TV? Well, it either looks great or terrible, Jack.
Yeah.
I can tell you it looks pretty good to me on my YouTube stream, and on the Lume Pad it works, but because of the contrast, there's a lot of ghosting, and that's not a fault of the photo. That's just a limitation of the device.
Well, it's fun not to just work on easy ones all the time.
And where was this, Jack? Did you tell us that?
You know, it was, I can't actually remember. It was over, it was someplace I was going on. It was a part of a big auditorium or something like that. I don't know.
Was this like a holiday display or something?
No, I don't know if it was or not. It might have been. It didn't seem to use that space up for just letting those lights hang there forever. Might have been a Christmas display of some kind. I don't know.
All right. Well, I think it's a very effective subject for stereo photography. Thanks for sharing it, Jack.
Well, thank you.
We're going to move on to one by Melinda. And the title is Cherry Picker. I think the title speaks for itself. Melinda, tell us about this great image.
Yeah, I just took it recently in my neighborhood. It was pretty dark at the time. The exposure came out pretty poorly, but I used Photoshop's equalize function, and that helped a lot. And what caught my eye is that it was, you see these cherry pickers parked every once in a while, but they're usually they usually have the actual basket withdrawn quite a bit. This one was parked with it maybe fully extended. It looked pretty dramatic, so I thought I would try to make a through the window image with it, and that's what you get. I also needed to get rid of a bit of retinal rivalry in the lower left, and I used your technique of just putting a box.
See, if you hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have noticed it. I don't think anyone would have noticed it.
No, it's a brilliant idea. Especially when you don't have time to futz with it, it works pretty well.
It just shows how our perception really works and how much we just don't see something like that right at the window. But it works. It's just easy to ignore. It's a lot less effort than cloning or copying, pasting. Just put it behind a box. I do it all the time. So next month, the Cascade Stereo Club, at their meeting, their special subject is Through the Window. Of course, I think we have our own Through the Window this year as well. But in any case, if you're not doing anything on the fourth Monday of the month, when we used to meet, drop by the Cascade Club. And they might even like to see this. It's a great example.
Just so folks know, we visitors are always welcome, and visitors are welcome to submit photos if they wish.
Yeah, thanks, Herb. Yeah, this would be a fun one to share. Thank you, Melinda.
Mm-hmm.
Bob, I see you're still with us. This is Rainbow Gecko.
Yeah, there we are. Okay. We just switched over to the 3D TV, so I'm waiting for it to catch up here.
There'll be a lag of 10 or 12 seconds
Yeah.
or so.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I believe this was shot with my macro realist. Oops.
Wow. Is this a recent shot?
No, this is a few years old.
Wow.
And I needed to, this was actually shot at a reptile show. And the gentleman who owned, I don't say owned, this gecko, allowed me to photograph it. There was a whole convention hall in the background, which I got rid of because it was providing a lot of retinal rivalry and difficult to watch. But I think it came out pretty well.
Exposure is wonderful.
Thanks.
It's a beautiful image. If it was me, I would have brought some more out of that eye.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. It's looking very pale to me on my screen. I'm looking at it in 3D TV. The slide itself is quite vibrant, and you can see more detail in the eye.
Yeah.
This is before, speaking of AI, Topaz has a great AI photo filter that really improves soft focus and color and a lot of stuff, which I appreciate. Although I do agree with Steve about the bigger picture of AI use.
Topaz. I think we've talked about Topaz before. Is anyone else here using Topaz? Jay, I see you nodding. Are you?
I've mentioned it a couple of times.
Okay.
I have Topaz, and it's quite amazing. Yeah, it does use AI, but it's not generating images. It's just improving your own images.
Right, exactly. And their Gigapix app for enlarging is phenomenal. It's amazing. It can take a small JPEG and blow it up to a poster size, and often you get quite good results.
The standard Topaz, the one that I have, can do a decent job. I don't know how big you're trying to make these things, but you can do several times the original.
Yeah, most of the time, if you're just projecting, you don't really need to get them, poster or billboard size.
Yeah, it's quite. It's not a subscription. I think I paid like $160 for it or something. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, well worth it. The new photo AI that they have out is a combination that utilizes a lot of their separate apps in one app. And you can control which ones you're activating.
And I see in the Mike, thank you for your comments. I see the Topaz real regular updates as well. So it sounds like it's a well-supported application. Is Topaz a photo editing program? Would it replace Photoshop, or is it specifically for the kinds of enhancements that we're talking about here?
You can not, yeah, it doesn't do Photoshop. It's mainly for upsampling, sharpening, or making an image that's too small, making it bigger. They've added, since I bought it, some color controls. It can change the lighting and the color balance. Those are very limited, especially compared to Photoshop. But it helps, and it uses a little bit of AI to kind of figure out what's going to be the best lighting, and it's right about 40% of the time. It requires a lot of massaging, but yeah, mostly it's just if you got a picture that's out of focus, it can do an amazing job.
And I know we've seen some examples of you using it for sharpening, and it works in stereo too.
Yeah. I agree completely with the two people who commented on it, because I have Gigapixel, one of the older versions, but I blow a 600 pixel image up to 2300 pixels, and it looks beautiful.
Incredible.
It really is amazing.
Yeah.
Bob, this one would also work as a through the window competition. I think the placement is great, having the, what do you call it in a lizard or a gecko? Is it a foot, a paw? I don't know. That appendage being at the window and the head reaching through. On the Lume Pad, it's almost holographic. It's just a great effect.
Thanks. Yeah, I love his expression too. He's just so inquisitive and say, hey,
it's very friendly.
What are you doing? Yeah.
I think the image could use a frame, and then it'll be a lot more obvious that it's coming way away in front of the frame.
It doesn't bother me. One thing that does bother me, actually pushed it back a little bit. The far lower right is breaking the window a bit on the leaf, but I could darken that as well and fix it. But I have several versions of this, so I'm not sure if this was the fun or not. But because it also, I think I'm going to through Topaz and see if we can sharpen it up a bit too. Yeah, my only thing was I get a lot of ghosting in the background because of the lightness of the leaf and that stark black. So I might want to try to put an out of focus foliage kind of image back there to soften it a bit and get rid of the ghosting.
Yeah, that would make sense. Of course, it looks great being previewed, but pretty much any device is going to show some ghosting with that that contrast.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, Bob.
Sure. My
Lovely.
pleasure.
Let's hear next from Steve. The title is Fountain.
Oh, did I submit this in the wrong place? This is supposed to be for Retinal Rivalry.
Oh, is it? Well, I can move it to Retinal Rivalry for next week. Before I do that, do you want to say anything about it, or do you want to save it for next week?
I'll talk about it next week.
Okay. No problem. Everyone, forget you saw this. Pretend it never happened. Strike it from your memory.
Don't you have one of those Men in Black flashes?
I wonder if Zoom has that feature. That would be nice. You botch something, just press a button and do it over again. No one will know what you're talking about.
Right.
Jack, let's move on to one of yours. Layman Cave is the title, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, this is I took a bunch of shots in there. This is quite a few years ago, but this was an angle that I hadn't ever shown before, so I played with it a little bit.
So this was in the cavern, is that right? Or was this like is this a found stereo?
No, this is in the cavern. I took
You were
a
there.
cha-cha, yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting. I'm gonna close this for a second.
Yeah, the stereo really brings out the details. This is one. If you look at this with one eye closed or as a 2D photo, it just sort of gets mushed together. It's really hard to get a sense of space, of how far back this goes, unless you see it in 3D. Much improved in 3D.
Jack, it's images like this that got me interested in Viewmaster. I remember seeing like the caverns of Virginia in the Viewmaster pictures, and I became fascinated with it. This is a really great picture.
Yeah, I remember some of those too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I still have my Oregon Caves Viewmaster reel.
Did you add any lighting, or that's just what was in the cave?
Any lighting?
Indeed.
Not
Too close.
Not really.
It's okay. I'm looking at the.
Oh, okay. I'm looking because there's some problems. I was just checking to see if it's.
So, Jack, there must have been some lights in there. Or was this like at the entrance of the cave? Where was the illumination coming from?
No, this is way deep down in the cave, and these are all lights they put in the cave. That's basically what you're seeing when you're walking through the cave.
Got it. And did you need to do any like shadow highlights adjustment or any other kind of adjustment for this one?
Yeah, can't remember the details, but I did increase the. I worked with the shadows and it might have brought out some stuff some places, but not too much. Most of it's kind of the way it was.
Lovely photo. I'm getting some anomalies in that lower right. That bright stalactite or stalagmite. At least on the 3D TV, getting a little rivalry going on.
That one, not the really bright one that's back midway, but the kind of in between. That one. I did some work on that, and I can see by looking at it now that it's there's a few errors there.
You might
some more work.
Yeah, I think if you just cut and pasted one image from the left or the right onto the other, and then maybe did a little warping or thing, that would take care of it, because it's just in the bottom part of that one column. Everything else seems to be fine.
Yeah,
I see that. It looks like there's maybe a bit of a vertical misalignment going on there.
Yeah,
there was some repair work I'd done in there, and I can see now that it's left with a little bit of an error.
Yeah, just some cutting and pasting will take care of that really quickly.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Or Jack, if you don't feel like doing that, and I think that's a good idea. But if you don't feel like doing it, you can always just enter this in next week's Retinal Rivalry exhibition, and it'll do just fine. You won't have to do anything.
I don't think that's what the rivalry's supposed to do.
I'm pretty fond of this one. It's very well cropped, also.
Anyway, it's a beautiful cave. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's you could walk for hours through the thing.
Yeah, it's just some cutting and pasting.
I think you've got your audio still on, and we're getting some feedback.
Yeah, if there's a TV or a pad that has the volume on, please turn it down so that we won't get the echo.
just fine.
And if it persists, I'll just mute everybody. Okay, thank you, Jack. Let's move on to one by Bob, Stereo Surrealist. And this will take 10 or 12 seconds to catch up on YouTube if you're following along with that.
Coming in late. There it is. Yeah, this is from one of my 3D shows, Hidden Stereo Treasures. Talking about the little known fact that famous artists built their own stereo cameras, and this was Dolly's contribution. Stereo Surrealist. It's nice in the show, it's animated. He raises the camera and it melts.
How do you make it melt? Do you use some software for that?
I think I just did a series of warps from the original. It was on a separate layer. And then I just grabbed parts of it and dragged it down. Tried to do it the same on each.
Very clever, very clever. Persistence of stereo memory.
Yes, right. And I like turning the his painting into 3D as well.
Yeah, you did a great job with that.
Have you seen, Bob, have you seen any of Dali's 3D paintings?
Yes, I have. His 3D paintings.
Yeah.
They're quite interesting. They could be entered in the retinal rivalry division, but a lot of them are very successful, and it's interesting that he did that.
Yeah, he has a very unique approach to it, but it really does work.
I've never seen those. Are they available online somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. You could probably find them.
I'll have to search
I haven't
for
looked
those.
at them lately, but
The New York Stereoscopic Association did, I think, 2 shows on Dolly.
Okay.
And had one of his assistants give talking.
Wow. I wonder if that's on YouTube. I'd love to see that.
It might be.
Bob, I'm so impressed. You know, most people would stop at the conversion of the painting, but you went all out and converted the maker also.
oh yeah, well, had to have him. I have I did a ViewMaster set from its show that I did, so it's also available. I have a few left, so if anybody's interested, email me.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah, I'd like to get in line for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you might not have any left after making that announcement, Bob. We might all want that in our collection.
Okay, well, I'll send you my my promo sheet on it.
All right.
Maybe we'll have a special Golden Gate Stereoscopic Society price for it.
Nice.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll have maybe I'll submit the show. You can show it one week if you like.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Sure. My pleasure.
Oleg, we've got one by you coming up next. The title is Christmas Lighting at Street Corner.
Yeah, this is a block away from my house. And I was set up in the middle of the street. And this car came down. And you see the yellow lighting at the bottom is the headlights from the headlights of the car. Fortunately, he saw me and waited for me to finish my picture instead of running me over.
And finishing you.
Because you were in the middle of the street, right?
Exactly, yes.
Is
My
the-
house, my house is at the end of the street on the left side.
Is this like a regular 90-degree intersection?
Let's see, it's a T intersection.
So it's a
The street on the left keeps going toward you, and the street on the right is teed to the street on the left.
So did you use the panoramic stereo?
I've been using almost exclusively now my super wide angle lenses.
So this is just two ordinary pictures with wide angle lens?
That's what it was.
Oh, okay, wow.
What was your separation on that?
6 inches.
6 inches, yeah. Beautiful shot, Oleg. Really nice.
Thank you.
I keep spotting all the anomalies. So the only one I see is the top of that tower, the chimney. Just has a little vibration going on.
Well, I'll have to fix it.
Not complaining. I love the shot. The mailboxes are wonderful, right in the middle there.
Yeah, this is beautiful lighting on this. There's something, I'm sure it's natural. There's a little streak of light on the, I guess, the tree that's on the right of the picture. That is in one image but not the other. Like it's probably like a window on the house, but because it's on one, it's because it's a bright light. It's probably better if it's not there.
Can you say again where it is?
There's two trees with the lights in it. The tree that's on the right, sort of in the middle of that tree, there's a streak of light, a vertical streak that's in
brighter in one chip than the other.
Yeah. It's only in the right-hand image. It's not in the left-hand image.
I think it's the edge of a window in the next house.
That's what I just said.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I said it's natural, but it's also a little distracting.
Yeah, I tried to police all those kind of things out, and I didn't catch that one.
That's what we're here for, Oleg.
Well, I appreciate it.
Oleg, I wonder if you would consider cropping a bit off the right. In the left image, you can see the sides of some parked cars that aren't in the right image.
Yeah, I have a
distraction for me.
It was there. Maybe what I should have done is just made it gray, that whole strip of light.
I think, Oleg, since you've cut off the curb on the right, I don't think it would hurt to do as suggested and just crop in a little bit just to get rid of the cars in the background.
Yeah,
I'm holding an ad in front of the screen right now, and it looks perfectly fine just to get rid of those. And the composition still holds. Really good.
Yeah.
Just put a box there.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Or every time you show it, I can come over with my pad and hold it in front of the screen here too.
Follow Melinda's lead and just, cover them up. Don't even bother cropping.
And kind of, I like the symmetry of the shot, and that might actually, the cropping, I think, would add to that.
Yeah, I'll definitely need to do that. I think what happened was there was actually some detail on the right of the right lens, but when I changed the window position, I think it disappeared. I didn't notice it.
And I love the light from the car there on that curb. You'll have to give him lighting credit in the shot. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it actually does add.
That was lucky.
Yeah, it really does add something to the photo. Okay, well, thank you, Oleg. And getting back to Dolly, Jay in the chat has put in some links to the New York Stereoscopic Association meetings. There's a podcast link and two video links. They live stream their videos on YouTube, their meetings on YouTube, just as we do. And this is definitely worth checking out. This is what I'll be watching tonight. So thank you, Jay. Okay. We're doing just fine on time tonight. So forget what I said about being rushed and staying late tonight. I think this is going to be a very comfortable meeting. Now that the technical glitches have been taken care of, I think we're going to have smooth sailing for the rest of the evening. Knock on wood. With that said, Jay, we've got one of yours coming up next, and I think this is Elton John's wardrobe.
Yeah. So Elton John is auctioning off at Christie's a lot of his stuff. Just amazing artwork, wardrobe like this, sculptures, and it was on public display. Rockefeller Center. So there's some good subjects.
Sure, that image. It seems a little soft to you on the screen. Yeah. I don't know if there's.
And you're taken with a layer pad.
Well, I think it's a really nicely composed shot for the Leia pad with that narrower base. There's plenty of depth in this one.
Yeah.
You must have gotten very close to that mannequin.
Yeah, you could just reach up and touch it.
Wow. Could you try it on?
I don't think security guards would let me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the amount of depth in this one, considering the camera it was shot with.
Yeah, it's like the sweet spot for it. You know, essentially a people shot.
Yeah, this is exactly what it was designed for, shooting people mid-shots or close-ups in social gatherings, parties. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. This was Christie's, you said? Was this on the East Coast or the West Coast?
Oh, New York City.
New York, of course.
Yeah, that's where I am now.
Well, thanks for staying up late and joining us, Jay. It's always great to have you. Yeah, for our East Coast participants, you definitely deserve some sort of a medal that shows some real grit to be enjoying these stereo photos at this time of night. All right, thanks, Jay. Oleg, we've got one by you coming up next. This is Underwater Tunnel at Zoo Lights 2 is the title.
Yeah, it's 2 because I submitted a different version of this one last month.
Ah, that's right.
The Santa Barbara Zoo does that every Christmas. It's worth going down to Santa Barbara just to see. It's several acres of lighting like this.
I think the Oakland Zoo does something similar, but I don't know if it's as vast. And every year I say I'm going to go shoot it, and I always forget.
And the funny thing is, you don't realize you're in a zoo because you don't see the animals. I don't know what they do with them, but they have a place to hide them.
Now, Oleg, is this a narrower base than you usually shoot, being inside this tunnel?
No, it's a 6-inch base and my super wide angle lens, which is all I've been using lately.
Yeah, well, it's a great subject. I think the one you showed us last month, was it darker?
Actually, it was lighter. This one's
Lighter.
darker.
And I think the one we saw last night had some people in it.
Yeah, it did. And I like this one because it's more symmetrical than last month's.
It's nice that we get a little bit of sky in the background also.
You're going to see some more pictures because I took some pictures on sunset where the sky was really beautiful.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. All right. Thank you, Oleg.
Thank you.
Steve, you're up next. Now, the title as I have it is See Saw Saw. Is that correct, or is it just a seesaw?
Well, it was originally saw, but then I said, well, that's just redundant. So it's, it's a seesaw that holds 6 people. So I tripled the number, but then I cut it back and figured, you'll figure it out. This is in Indonesia. I think we just took a rest stop. We were heading somewhere, and I remember this is just a place where use the restroom, and I was looking around with my W3 and took a liking to this seesaw that holds like a bicycle built for 2. It's a seesaw built for 6.
A great image there, Steve, and your window placements are perfect, and you're coming through the window perfectly. Well done in all ways.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, if you are not doing anything the first Monday of the month, let's sick this on the Cascade Stereo Club and show them how through the windows are done. Because
well, actually, that would normally be the 4th Monday.
4th Monday. I'm sorry. Thank you, Herb. I'm getting my days confused. 4th Monday. Yes.
So what do I do to submit it?
Oh, go check out their website.
I can put a link to our website in the chat, and that has, I think, all the information.
All right. Sounds good.
So I've been attending the Cascade meetings and the New York Stereoscopic Association meetings. Cascade meets on the 4th Monday, and NYSA meets on Saturday afternoons. Of course, there are other stereo clubs. I think the Detroit Club meets the same night as us. But it's been very eye-opening and very gratifying.
Not the impact of tonight's primary results on Trump's legal troubles moving forward.
We've got some. I'm going to mute everybody here. I think it's gone. Okay, good. In any case, it's just great to see stereo photography by photographers who we aren't as familiar with. It's great photography, and it's really inspiring too. I'm stealing all sorts of great ideas from these meetings. So if you have the chance, drop on by. And yeah, Herb, thank you. He's put the link to the Cascade Stereoscopic Club in the chat, and there are instructions there to join. They use Zoom just like we do. They stream on YouTube just like we do. So thank you, Herb, and thank you, Steve. Steve, I noticed this is a little soft. Did you crop in on this?
Probably I did, but maybe I can run it through Topaz and can I show it next week?
Of course.
Okay. I'd tweak the window just slightly. It's the grass is kind of coming through on the edges there. Wouldn't require a lot, but
okay, I'll take a look at that.
And you could send it through Topaz to sharpen it up. Ha
Yeah. I'll give it since I do have Topaz, it's not a problem. I'll give that a try.
You could even go all out and put in a false frame on the bottom and have that seesaw really poke us in the eye.
I have been known to do that on occasion.
Now, this is the kind of playground equipment that they just don't make in America anymore. We probably played on stuff like this, but this stuff just isn't going to meet any sort of safety regulation here.
And I would not want to be the third person in. It seems to be missing a seat for them.
Yeah, I know exactly how that works.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking you would sit and then hold the thing in front of you, but actually there's no place to sit for the one on the on the end.
Yeah.
So
no, I think there should have been another seat. Maybe they ran out of funds.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to stop any kids.
You're probably supposed to face backwards on it because the seat shape looks like you sit facing the handle and hold the handle.
Yeah.
If it's a seesaw, don't you want to be facing your seesaw buddy?
Yeah,
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Maybe there's an invisible seat we don't see out in the air.
Maybe
designed by committee.
Right.
Maybe this is something that you can only find in Indonesia.
Right. I guess the only other thing that bothers me a little is the very bright, blown out path in the background. I'd love to see that a little darker or.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. As soon as you brought up Topaz, I was thinking, I could try because it does have those lighting controls. Might be able to do something with that, or I can run it through. I don't use Photoshop anymore. I use Affinity, but you can do the same stuff with that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I like the angle. It's just kind of distracting with the brightness of the.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make a note of those and give it another run through.
You could always clone it as well, but that's a little more severe and does change the angles.
While you're at it, there's that red thing at the top right of the image. Cloning it out might be a chore, but if you were just to turn it green, I'll bet it would just disappear. My eye is sort of bouncing between the base of the seesaw and the top right frame because the two colors match.
I think that's a good call.
I don't know. I kind of like it that way. They relate to each other in color.
Yeah, I agree with Melinda. I'd be curious to see what the bright path on the left would look like with a blue tone on it, just kind of bring out those primaries. But no, it doesn't bother me up there. It kind of brings in the base of the seesaw, but
I think I'm a little bit more in matte because I don't want to bring attention to that. And it's a similar color to the base of the seesaw. So I definitely would give a try to making that green.
Then I'd clone out the path and that red then.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do.
Well, Steve, if you're motivated, we'd love to see your revisions next week. And if you want to make it a fix it, we can do a before after also. It's your call.
And in Photoshop, I don't know what the program you're using has, but the replacement, content replacement, I forget what it's called in Photoshop, but if you selected that and give a little feathering, I think it would grab all the grass around it and kind of make up the image inside and do a good job of it.
I think you're talking about the content aware, Phil.
No, there's another one, a content aware, yeah, but there's they use it for extending the canvas.
Well, yeah, I don't use it. Doesn't matter because I don't use Photoshop anymore.
Right.
I use this program called Affinity, and it has that tool. It has a tool where it can look at the surrounding and try to match it.
Right.
And they call it in painting. But I was just going to mention that it's not subscription based, so you pay one time.
Right.
It's pretty reasonable, and that it has. I mean, the tools that it has are not the new tool. Apparently they have a lot of new AI tools in Photoshop, but the classic stuff that we were using Photoshop for in the last 3 or 4 years, most of that's in Affinity. So if you don't like paying a subscription, I certainly don't. You might give that
one easy way. I found that through a site called uscollegebuys.com, they have special student pricing on the entire Creative Cloud suite. So instead of $100 subscription, I'm paying $100 for every app that is in the Creative Cloud for a year. And all you have to do is to sign up for a free class at a city college that's covered in their program. I'm at Berkeley City College. And that's it used to be even cheaper for a year. It was about $70.
Wow, that's a great tip.
Can you put a link, Bob? Can you put a link to that in the chat?
I don't have one handy, but if you just put in US College Buys, it's all one word. And you're welcome to give I can email anybody the info, or I can put it in maybe after the fact, after the meeting, or is that possible?
Okay.
But also, you don't have to get the whole Creative Cloud suite. You can just get Photoshop, and it's even cheaper for the year. And you can get a 6-month subscription or a year subscription. I mean, I agree with Steve. I hate being Adobe's bitch, as we say, but it's a less painful way to deal with it.
Yeah, I've completely shed myself of Adobe. I switched over to from Premiere to Resolve, a DaVinci Resolve, which is a fantastic free program.
Cool.
For video editing, I can't recommend it highly enough.
Okay, put it in the chat. We'll check it out.
Yeah, if you guys could throw these things into chat would help. I've never heard of this stuff, and thank you very much for discovering these nifty places to go.
Bob, if you don't have these links handy, you can email them to me and I'll disseminate them also.
Great, we'll do that.
Don't want to put you on the spot, but I think that's information that a lot of us want to exploit.
No problem.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us would mind taking a class and learning something of interest to save substantially on an Adobe subscription. I still have my copy of CS4 here. And I think CS6 was the last standalone copy of Photoshop. There it is right there.
Yeah.
And let's see, I think what it's really missing for me is the camera raw filter and the shadow highlights. Otherwise, these old versions are totally capable. But I think you'd probably be better off really getting something like Affinity or some Photoshop competitor that at least gets updated. I don't know if Photoshop CS4 or CS6 would even run on Windows 11, for example. So maybe I'll find out someday. All right, thank you, Steve. If you make it back to Indonesia and you find out how kids play with this seesaw, let us know.
All right, will do.
Could happen. I don't know.
And I'm putting in the address. I think this is the one. You can try it out. Someone can see if that works. uscollegebuys.com. And oh, okay, there we go.
There we go.
And if you're in the Bay Area, the class I'm taking is a Photoshop Lightroom class. And the instructor is it used to be on Zoom, available on Zoom, and there's no charge for the class. And it's a wonderful instructor, and he's very easygoing. So I haven't been attending every meeting and this semester because it involves a 2-hour commute for me. But I submit stuff online occasionally, and he's been very fine about it. I've kept my student status, so I can give anybody, I'm blanking on his last name, but his first name is Bijan, Bijan, and he teaches the Photoshop. It's a multimedia class, and he'd always be happy to welcome new people in the class.
Well, if
do you have to go to California to join this class?
Well, there are great Greyhound prices to get on the bus, and
well, that's Toronto to class. Okay.
I was hoping he would keep offering the Zoom option, but he hasn't. But I'm sure there are classes in some city college. You have to check the U.S. College Buys list of which are acceptable community colleges, but I'm sure there are some offering Zoom classes, and if they're not for free, some of them might be very nominal costs to do it.
I'll even take basket weaving if that's a cheap one, just to get the programs.
Yeah, well, it's I would check it out, definitely. Oh, we got Elton John and a pinball machine here. Just looked over at it.
Yeah, Peter, you never know. You might end up liking basket weaving more than stereo photography. So keep an open mind.
I need a new hobby. Yeah, get me out of this 3D stuff.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. And Jay and I put an updated link to College Buys. It's collegebuys.org.
And it's store. Yeah, that's right. Store.collegebuys.org. Thank you.
It's got all sorts of information on it, so check it out. And thank you, Bob. And
sure.
A community college Photoshop class sounds like a lot of fun. Even for those of us who think we're experts, it's such a deep tool. There's so much, I'm sure, that I'm totally unaware of. So, yeah.
This teacher, I'm looking get his last name for you, because he's quite a photographer. His last name is Yashar, Yashar. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do it. I'm typing on my pad here. I hate it, but let's see.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bob. When you get that in, we'll definitely look them up.
Sure, and I'm not sure of the class, but it's definitely involving Photoshop and Lightroom. And he's quite a photographer, and he has shows up, and he's very good at feedback. And let's see if I can get this Photoshop and Lightroom. There we go.
And I put the the names, I don't, you can Google it for links, but I put the names of the software that I'm using to replace my Adobe products.
Good.
Really, all I was using was Photoshop and Premiere.
Is that in the chat, Steve?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. Did you send it to someone specifically, or did you send it to everyone?
I'm looking at it, and it's got all the other stuff. It's got the Salvador Dali, and it's got the.
Huh.
But who'd you? Is it sent to everyone?
I thought so. Maybe not.
There'll be a drop down where at the to field.
I'll try again.
Oh, I may have responded just to Peter also. I just put the name of the instructor on there. Did it get to everyone or just Peter?
I think probably just Peter. I'm not seeing it on my end.
Oh, okay. Can I forward that one, or
yeah,
maybe I can?
Oh yeah, I got the message just from Robert. Says, oh, okay, he's putting it on.
Can you? Is it easier for you to take it? And
sure. I'll send it over to the group.
Okay.
And Jay put in the links to Affinity. Thank you, Jay. And speaking of Jay, we've got a fantastic photo by him on the screen right now. And the title has something to do with Elton John and pinball, and it is Elton Pinball.
Autographed, no less.
Yeah, Jay, tell us about this machine.
It's that same Christie's auction, and same, layer pad, and just try to find a interesting angle rather than just straight on. And if I had my regular computer, I might have cropped out or painted out the green on the upper left. No, that's it.
There's a lot of depth in this one. It's really surprising. I thought that maybe this was a little hyper, that you had done a cha-cha and gone a little bit wider, but I guess it's just the nature of this this pinball machine.
Maybe just being close by, and it is a very deep pinball machine.
Yeah. And again, just look how much more interesting this machine is in 3D compared to the 2D version with an eye closed. So much more information is revealed in stereo. And I think I see a little Elton on a piano in the background there.
Could be.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Jay. And you're still on the hook to share. Let's see. What is the title of this one? A Little Oblivious? Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right. This will be coming up in just a few moments on YouTube.
So
this
she
one
wanted
tells
a
a story.
picture, same Elton place. And my friend Kiri wanted a picture next to that wonderful, crazy jacket. And she didn't know what was on the other side of her. And she's still friends with me even after she saw the shot.
That was one wonderful, crazy night.
Yeah, this one really does tell a story.
It's funny because it's kind of polished, rather smooth.
The light's hitting it just right. Yeah, you can tell it's definitely some wear on it. And in addition to telling a story, it's a very nice stereo composition. You've got a foreground, middle ground, and background subject. Perfect subject for the Lume Pad. You took this with the Lume Pad, right, Jay?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect camera for it. The lighting on her face isn't too bad either. I'm assuming that's just
Yep.
the
It's
ambient light.
just was there. Yeah.
The Lume Pad, the hydrogen one, maybe to less of a degree. Certainly my Sony RX02s. It's almost like they can shoot in the pitch black. They do amazing. They just capture amazing detail in low or very low light. And I'm looking at her face. You know, there really aren't any blowouts. It's not the most flattering light, but nor is it very high contrast. Did you do any shadow highlights adjustment to this?
I've been just a bit of a crop.
Just cropped it, just pretty much out of the camera. You know, it's a great device.
The image on the right, I see all sorts of flashes or bright spots on one of them and not the others. I guess that's reflections off of the coat or whatever it is, huh?
Yeah, sequins. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very glittery.
Might quiet those down a little bit. I don't know.
You know, I hadn't really noticed those on the Lume Pad, but they're much more clear now that Jack has pointed them out to me on my regular side-by-side view. This one, well, the next time we have a humor special, throw this one in there too. I would imagine it would do really well.
So,
thanks, Jay. Go ahead, Jay.
I do have a good story from this, and I wish I had the picture to go with it. Do you know those holograms? They say it's a hologram. It's like a white box with the live video. Have you guys seen it?
I don't think I've seen that. Is it
Yeah,
like
what do they call that? Looking glass or something like that?
Not looking glass. It's actually flat. You know what? FN, let me get a picture so I could show you, and I'll tell the story then.
Okay.
It's just fun.
All right. Well, while Jay is putting that together, this is one by Oleg. The title is Street with Puddle Reflection in Chile.
I'm looking at a picture that's supposed to go into the.
Oh, does this belong in the special?
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize for that. It will be in next week's special. So you're off the hook. We will revisit it on the 12th. And we're back on Jay's, and Jay will give us the information. While Jay is putting that together, that is our slideshow for the evening. We're not done yet. We want to get everyone's take on their personal favorites. This is not a competition. We're not about winners or losers. But we do want to know, just for general interest, which ones are the most popular. And for the makers, this may inform their decision to enter it in an international exhibition or maybe work on it some more. In any case, we all want to know what we think of each other's photos. So I am going to put in the chat right now. Some of you may already have this link. I put it in the chat at the beginning of the meeting, and it's also in the email reminder. For those of us who have access to a web browser, this is something you can do on a phone or a tablet on your computer. I know some of us don't have access to a computer right now, but for those who can, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the slideshow again quickly. We'll just spend 2 or 3 seconds per photo. And then we'll spend a few minutes making our selections. And I'll ask everyone who's able to participate to select their top 3 photos from the list. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Jay, do you need some more time? Sure.
I'm ready. I just need a screen share.
Okay, let me stop sharing, and I think I might need to make you a co-host. Let's see. Okay, Jay, you're a co-host now. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay, so you can see this is what they call a hologram, and it's just a flat screen that's transparent, and they have a white box behind it. So the funny thing is, I was standing there taking a picture of this bullshit 3D, and a Christie's guy comes pushing someone in a wheelchair, and he starts saying, "Now this is shot with multiple cameras to get the 3D effect." And I said, "Oh no, there was one camera. That's not 3D. This is 3D." I think I scared him a little.
Yeah. Well,
but I had the fake 3D and real 3D showing him the difference. And it's just a coincidence that he happened to be there at the time.
That sounds like the old Pepper's Ghost that's always called hologram. And I always say, it's nothing like a hologram.
Yeah.
It's just a projection. It's a flat projection, but it's in space, so you think it's 3D.
Yeah. So it was a Crocodile Dundee moment.
Yeah, that's a technique that's was used theatrically, I think in the 1800s.
It's not Pepper's Ghost.
It's not a Pepper's Ghost?
There's no reflection. It's just a straight, transparent LCD.
And Elton John is flat in it, right? He doesn't have depth.
Yeah, I'm showing this angle. I could share it again. Let's see. Yeah, you can see he's totally flat just on the front, but the box behind him is, a few feet. You can see the depth of the marble. So the marking is all hologram. They've admitted on Twitter that it's not 3D, it's just marking, and people are falling for it.
Yeah, people will believe anything is 3D if you tell them. If it hurts their eyes, then they'll buy it, yeah.
And 10% of the population will totally buy it.
Yeah. Now, when you explained what real 3D is and you held up your Lume Pad, did you show them the photo A Little Oblivious? Is that how you shared the 3D?
There's a 3D picture on. His sword was 3D, and he just wanted to get away from the crazed guys.
You probably ruined his day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you spoke up and said something. I know that we regularly go to exhibits, exhibitions, museums, shows that have 3D elements that are not properly shown, not properly projected. Steve and I had this experience a month or 2 ago at the Roxy. A very good 3D movie by Wim Wenders, Anselm. Very poorly projected. Terrible system. I think I griped about this last month, but long story short, most of the people in the audience were new to 3D, and they thought, I'm sure, that that's what 3D is. And it's a shame because it has so much more potential. And if only we had shown them what we do. Thank you, Jay. Before I run through these, the slideshow again for our straw poll, I wanted to point out that Bob has put his Hidden Stereo Treasures Viewmaster Reel pitch in the chat. So be sure to look at that and contact him. The email address is on it.
There are no more box sets
no
left.
more box sets, so just the three
But
reel
the
set.
three reel set is available. So the viewer and the box is all gone, but the three reel sets. And again, we can do a special Golden Gate price
Club
on
price.
it. So.
All right. Well, I see this in my collection in the future. Let me just save this so I can.
It's a lot of fun.
There we go. Okay. All right. So let me share my screen again, and we'll go through the slideshow. Not that one.
Oh, we have to select.
Actually, I think I need to go back before I can go forwards. Oh, no, it's going to work. Okay. Okay, so let me share my screen. Some of these we're going to ignore because they really belong in next week's meeting, and I'll point those out. So we are starting with photo number 2 by Melinda. Sunset Fiddler is the title. And now I'll go through the slideshow. I'll spend 2 or 3 seconds on each photo. Here we go. Yes.
Just a question for you, Matt. Can I change my mind if I vote and then see something better later on? Can I change a vote?
I'm not sure if you've already submitted it. I'm not sure if, I don't think straw poll will let you. But when we go through the results,
I'll just make notes on paper and see them all before voting.
When we go through the results, why don't you just give a shout out to any ones that you want to give special notice to?
Until you hit submit, you should be able to change things.
Yeah, if you haven't clicked submit, then you can change things. If you have clicked submit, then I think it's too late.
Where is the straw poll? I don't see it.
There is a link in the chat. It's there. The straw poll link.
There we go. Okay. Got it. But I have to see it. Okay,
you may have already made your choice. You may already know.
We shouldn't vote for our own. That's for sure.
We're not supposed to. So yes, please don't vote for your own. No one is tracking this, so you won't get in trouble. But in the spirit of things, let's vote for our comrades here. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through these. We'll just spend 2 or 3 seconds on each. And the YouTube will be just 10 or 12 seconds behind. Let me say the titles also. We saw Sunset Fiddler, Newt Descending a Staircase, Dog Walker on Main Street in Ventura, and now we are on Public Domain Day at Internet Archive. Next is Alice in Muir Woods. Plimpton Friends. Lights. I think this is pronounced Sacré Coeur. If there are any French speakers, you can correct me. Next is Cherry Picker. Rainbow Gecko. We'll skip that one. That's intended for next week. Layman Cave. Stereo Surrealist. Christmas Lighting at Street Corner. E.J. Wardrobe, or Elton John Wardrobe. Underwater Tunnel at Zoo Lights 2. See, saw. Elton Pinball. A Little Oblivious. And actually, that is our group for the evening. We will ignore number 21, which we will see next week. And we will also ignore number 12, which was intended for next week's group. So let's, those who have access, let's spend a minute or two making our selections. Please select your top 3. And I'm going to do it myself. And then we will share the results.
A little bit. Okay. We'll be through. Vote successful. Okay.
So please ignore number 1, number 12, and number 21. Yeah, if you haven't hit the oh, you know what? I think you can change your selection after you hit vote. Oh, no, you can only vote once. So if you made a selection and regretted it right after, that's okay. When we share these results, which we'll do in just a few seconds, if there are any personal favorites that deserve a shout out, just let us know. Again, this isn't a competition. There are no ribbons awarded. There are no gift cards.
What? No ribbons?
We used to issue ribbons. Many of us will recall every meeting we issued
I'm gonna post
several ribbons. First, second, third, for cards, for projection. I'm quite sure I still have a stockpile of them. All right. Does
I've
anyone
got
need more
old
time?
track and field ribbons from grade 3.
Right. Well, you earned those. All right. It looks like we've got some good results. Does anyone need some more time? Okay, I'm just going to give it a second.
It looks like Bob may have over-submitted. Aren't we only supposed to submit? Oh, no, we can submit 4.
4, yes. There was some confusion on my part this month about the divisions that the photos belonged in. That was my fault. I had accidentally disabled the flag that tells me which division each image goes to. Won't be an issue moving forward. All right, let me share my screen and let's look at the results. Now, this isn't a very scientific result because it's such a small sample, but it's still a lot of fun. Bob, it looks like Rainbow Gecko was our clear leader. You got all of 4 votes. Well done. Followed by Allison Muirwoods. Jack, Layman Cave, 3rd place, tied with Bob's Stereo Surrealist. Wow, Bob, all of your entries made it. Well done. Melinda Cherry Picker tied with Oleg's Christmas Lighting at Street Corner, along with Bob's Newt Descending a Staircase. So thank you. Yes. This isn't meant to be a popularity contest, but here it is. All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. Now, with that, I'm going to wrap up the meeting. We are a little bit over. I appreciate everybody's patience with me tonight. I had a couple technical glitches at the beginning. I am ironing those out. They will become less and less evident. Our next meeting is next week. That is the 12th. That is at 7 p.m. Now, we still have room for special entries. So if you have a Retinal Rivalry stereo photo that you would like to submit but didn't get a chance to, go ahead and submit it to me. Please try to get it to me by Sunday the 10th to give me time to put it in the queue. Additionally, we talked about a couple edits, some fix-its. If anyone would like to resubmit a photo that they shared this evening, that's fine. And if you'd like to give us a before and after, that would be even better. Before I call it a night, does anyone have anything they would like to add or share?
Just a question, Matt. Am I allowed conversions, the evil word conversion, for any submission?
Conversions are not evil. We welcome them. So absolutely send us up to 4 conversions by Sunday. When you submit them, there's a page on our website, and there's a button where you specify native meaning it was taken with a camera, either a cha-cha or synchronized cameras or a W3 or whatever, versus conversion, which is what we're talking about. That's just for our personal interest. It doesn't qualify them in any way. They don't get stuck in some separate category or anything like that. So we love conversions. Please.
Do you want them with
share
retinal rivalries or just any old conversion? I can make them with retinal rivalries.
For
if you
next
want.
week, make them with retinal rivalries, using the retinal rivalry in some creative way. And if you have some conversions that you would prefer not to have retinal rivalry, just send them to me and we will show them in April.
So actually, Matt, just a comment.
Yes.
At the Cascade Stereoscopic Club, what we have done is we've decided that when we're not doing a competition, when we're just sharing images, we welcome conversions. We welcome AI-generated images. Okay, anything that you want to submit that might be of enjoyment to people who are interested in stereoscopic images, it's fine. And just don't be dishonest about it. You know, when you're talking about it, you know, feel free to say, oh, this is AI or this is conversion.
I think we totally agree.
Thank you, guys, because that's about all I can do with my bad legs. I can't get out in the field as much anymore.
Yeah. Please embrace it, enjoy it, show us what you have. And one last thing I will put in the chat for this evening is our official position on conversions, which is an article on our website, which basically says exactly what Herb said about the Cascade Club. They are welcome and encouraged. So
Matt, remind me, give me the definition of a conversion again.
So a conversion would be, it could be something that you convert by hand like we did in the old days, a 2D to 3D conversion. What most people are doing now is they're using an AI tool like, I think, is it Leapix? Is that the popular one? Let me put that in the chat as well. So it's an AI 2D to 3D conversion.
You would have to take the 2D yourself, though, right?
Well, you could, or you could start with your own 2D image. You could start with your own AI generated image. If there is someone else's photo that you are passionate about and want to convert, that's okay too. That type of photo you wouldn't want to enter in an international, of course, but we would love to see it, and we'd love to see what you can do with it. And, these AI conversions, they're a lot of fun. So they're definitely worth experimenting with. I just put a link in the chat, or did I?
I see it there.
It's the, this is what I wanted to put in the chat. Leapix is a popular 2D to 3D conversion app, and it's on the web, and you can try it for free also. It's a pretty easy website to use. You upload a photo, and it gives you a conversion, and yeah, there you go.
So we have even had people take old photos that were clearly not taken by them, photos from early 1900s or late 1800s, and done conversions of those. And if it's interesting from a stereoscopic viewpoint, as long as you're not claiming credit for it, that's perfectly okay.
It is perfectly okay with us.
That's what I specialize in, those old vintage pictures. Yeah.
So if you find an old Mickey Mouse that's public domain, feel free to convert that.
Absolutely.
You take stuff off of YouTube?
You can convert something off YouTube if you want. You can do either the found stereo technique, where you take 2 frames, or you can take just 1 frame. You can shoot it as a photo off your screen, which is something I know you've done, and then you can run that photo through the converter. It's definitely something that I'm curious about. I'm really interested in the direction that these conversions are taking, and I'm very curious about how this is going to influence stereo photographers. It's a very powerful tool, and as I said before, it's a lot of fun to use. Seldom do they come out perfect. You usually need to do some edits.
Yep. The devil's in the fix-ups.
Yes. Particularly with details like rigging, grates,
telephone wires. Oh my God.
Yes.
Actually, to give another example, there's one person in the Cascade Club who likes to do 3D fractals, which are clearly not photographs, but he uses a program called Mandelbulb, and basically once he finds a fractal he likes, he basically shoots it from 2 different angles and presents it in stereo.
Yeah, so that's a great example of a non-photographic conversion using a generated graphic, not a photo. And I'm sure the results are still very beautiful. And certainly we've done things like that with our creatives, primarily with our creatives. So I guess my point to, follow up on Herb's point is that I really don't want to limit anybody. I don't want anyone to feel constrained about what they can share. It's very unlikely that I'm going to reject anything unless it's just very hard to view or something. So go ahead and submit it, and we'll tell you what we think of it. I'm sharing my screen right now. This is the Leia Pix website, leiapix.com, and I'm not going to actually go through it. I'm not going to give a demo or anything, but you can see they do a really good job of explaining how it works. It's got a pretty intuitive interface, and it's definitely worth playing with. You don't need to be any sort of an expert or programmer or graphic designer or anything to use this tool. So check it out.
Do you know how many pictures you get for free?
I don't know. I think they have reduced the number, but it's not an expensive tool.
That was going to be my second question.
Yeah. Now, for those who have a Lume Pad, Leia actually does include a 2D to 3D conversion app. It's the Leia Pix app. I'm actually pulling it up right now. So if you have a Lume Pad, you actually already have this app installed. It's just on the tablet instead of a web browser. And I think you get, is it 100 free conversions, something like that? I think you might get more free conversions on the Lume Pad. Don't hold me on that. I'm not sure of it. But whether you do it on the website or if you do it on the Lume Pad, you'll definitely get enough free tries to get an idea of how it works and if it's something that you want to explore and play with.
Well, if you don't have a Lume
Pix
Pad,
conversions
you don't know what the
stamped with their logo.
are.
Yes, thank you, Mike. That's an important point. They will get watermarked. That's okay for us, but as Mike also points out, it's not the only conversion tool that's available. And Peter, I know you've used quite a few over the years, and you've shared those with us before. So there's more than one option. It's definitely worth.
I used Colab for a long time.
What was that again?
I did Colab.
Colab.
The Midas 3, it's called, through Colab.
Colab.
But I finally drifted. I've done some Pepsi challenges using Leia and Colab Midas 3, and I'm finally finding out Leia is just as good, but you do have to pay for it at some point. But as you said, it's not too expensive or anything. And I'm this whole thing about Photoshop that might be available. I think the cloud version that they have now will allow you to rotoscope, cut out things, because that's the way I used to do it. Cut out people and then layer them and move them sideways. Right. Way back before computer time. And if that will happen in Photoshop, I would love to go back to that system because I loved using it that way. But it takes me hours in the old days.
We've definitely done our share of those types of conversions in Photoshop and putting elements on layers. And, as a creative exercise, I think it's still valid. I think we're still going to see those. I'd like to see more of those. It's interesting to see, there are some things that the AI tools are just better at, like individual blades of grass, flowers, plants, things that would just take too much time to go in and individually select.
Crowd scenes. They're brilliant at crowd scenes, multiple heads of people.
Yes.
Although the hats are often out of place. You have to go in and fix the hats.
As we have seen, yes.
So, Matt,
yeah.
I just wanted to mention, since you have the 30th anniversary booklet, take a look at page 15 in that booklet. It's an actual article from Stereo Views, and that actually has some examples that were done with Google Colab.
Oh, yes. There's another reason to buy the Cascade 30th anniversary.
And it's if all you want is a PDF, it's free. So there's no charge for the PDF. If you want a printed copy, there's a charge for the printed copy.
And I bought the printed copy. It's totally worth it. It's full of beautiful stereo.
It's a brilliant compilation of all those things and your bios and things. It's very well done, Herb. It's wonderful.
It
well,
really
thank
is. You. And yes, here's the article that Herb's talking about. The title is Colorization and 3D Conversion. And we've got some steps and talk about some software. Definitely worth downloading. I encourage everyone to buy a hard copy, but even the PDF is full of very valuable information. And Herb, they can find that on the website, right?
Yes, they can.
PDX. And Herb had entered that earlier in the chat. If you don't have that handy, just do a Google search for Cascade Stereoscopic Club. It's in there somewhere. I will be referencing this because it's such a great idea. I want to steal it and do one for the Golden Gate Stereoscopic Society. So we'll be hearing about that later, one thing at a time.
Okay, so I will actually put a link to the that booklet into the chat so that you can, find it directly instead of having to search for it.
Oh, thank you. Fantastic.
And as I said, the PDF download is free, so don't feel like this is a solicitation for money. We are actually really not making any money on the printed copies. So if you like the PDF and you want a printed copy, it's available.
Thank you, Herb. And for those who might miss this link in the chat, I will share it. It's something that I think everyone would really enjoy looking at. And it's got some great articles, too.
So if you want a free layer pix conversion without the watermark, you could use the layer link to send a picture to the tablet. And when you do that, it gets converted. And then you can export it as a leaf, which you could then, that's the side-by-side. Just need to convert it to a side-by-side.
Okay, that's a pro tip there.
Yeah.
So it is...
It's slightly annoying.
Jack, did that answer your question? Was that a little overwhelming? I hope not.
It was a little overwhelming. I guess just to go step back, does it mean that when we have an open competition, you can take cha-chas off of YouTube and enter them?
Oh, sure. Yeah. We
it used to be a special. It had to be.
Yeah. And we will have some more. We used to make those primarily in our found stereo specials.
Yeah.
And we will continue having those found stereo specials. The technique you're talking about is a popular technique for the found stereo, but it's not the only technique. There are other ways to, find two pairs that happen to make a stereo photo, but it's totally fine to enter those as a regular open also. We're not going to reject them. My thinking is that it's another way to create stereo imagery. It's a creative way. And, we want to see what you're thinking and what your eye is discovering. So yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and enter those in the open. And if you want to do a conversion of the type that we've just discussed using LeiaPix or some other program, you can enter those in the open too. That's fine.
It gives you an
Isn't there
infinite
some
source
guy-
of information of material.
Say that again, Jack?
It gives you an infinite source of material to work with.
It does. It's, it's kind of overwhelming.
Without even leaving the house.
Right.
Isn't there a guy that specializes in these accidental 3D things like the raising the flag of Iwo Jima? There was a movie camera right next to Rosenthal's famous picture, and that flag whips up in the movie, and somebody's matched the frames, blah, blah. And the Hindenburg, anywhere where there's a news conference, multiple cameras on a platform, there's often a way to get some parallax off of matching frames. And I think some guy specializes in all this stuff. He searches for stuff like that.
Well, George Méliès.
I don't know who it is, but I think there's
the special effects wizard of the turn of the century used two cameras so he could have a duplicate negative, and they were next to each other, and people have been able to reconstruct 3D out of the old Méliès films.
Oh, wonderful. Are they available? What was is there a place to find these stuff?
Oh,
okay. But thanks for mentioning it.
A couple of us years ago saw a screening of those Méliès 3D movies at the Castro Theater in San Francisco. And these weren't converted, as Steve said. These were sort of accidental stereo. They were shot with kind of a dual camera system rig, not intended to be stereo. I doubt Méliès was even thinking about it. But, years and years later, someone figured this out, and they were really quite magical. And I wish that they were available on a Blu-ray 3D or something. I'll never forget it, and I hope I get to see him again.
Is that the guy that has the rocket poking in the moon's eye?
Yes.
That's the guy.
That's the guy.
Well, it'd be great to see that one in 3D.
Let me ask you one further question here.
Of course.
This what we just described, what's allowable in our open, is that true for international PSA competition also?
No. The PSA has stricter rules. If you're going to enter it in an international, it has to be original photography of yours.
Okay.
Yeah. So, these would be things really more to have fun with and experiment with. But they would more likely than not be rejected by, a PSA endorsed international.
They knew you did it that way.
Well, you're violating the conditions of entry if you do it. So even if they don't discover it, you're still cheating. And, if you won an award, you really have won it in a dishonest way.
Now, interestingly, the last Hollywood International, there was something of a scandal because the top placed photo was a conversion, and a pretty bad conversion at that, in my opinion. And I don't know if there has been any resolution about why it was selected and why it was even accepted for entry. It's possible the judges were not aware that it was a conversion.
That was probably what happened. In other words, when we're judging the Cascade exhibition, and I'm not a judge because I'm doing the software, but I'm there for the judging discussions. There are often the judges often raise questions about, is this a conversion? And they're looking at artifacts in the image that might suggest that, somebody, but basically you almost have to depend on the honesty of the photographer. And there was actually an interesting story where Steve Wessing, who's a member of the Cascade Club, had submitted a altered photograph that people initially decided did not originate photographically, and therefore they wanted to disqualify it. And he subsequently wrote an article. Here's the original photo. Here's step 1 of what I did. Here's step 2. Here's step 3. ... And here's how I got to the result. And yes, it did originate photographically.
Interesting. Yeah. I think also as we enter more conversions to the Golden Gate Stereoscopic Society meetings, as we all as stereo enthusiasts, stereo photographers, experiment with this technology, share it with each other, I think we're all going to develop an eye to spot those discrepancies, to make it easier to identify potentially conversions versus natives. But I'm sure there's always going to be a gray area in there, and we're going to have to rely on the exhibitor's honesty as well. But Jack, to answer your question again, yeah, those kinds of conversions for our meetings, they are acceptable and welcome for our open division.
And actually, I'm going to give another example of how the judges can miss something very obvious. So in the last Cascade exhibition, there was a photo by Mark Brennan. I think anybody who's seen exhibitions knows that Mark Brennan does some fabulous photography. And the image was actually accepted, and none of the judges raised any questions. And then it was Mark Brennan who brought it to the attention of the committee and said this image should not have been accepted, and here's why. And it was an altered photograph, and it had a picture of Earth, in the sky, in place of the moon, or I don't remember what the detail was. And obviously that wasn't his photograph. And any of the judges would have said, Mark Brennan wasn't in space to take this picture. And so but all 3 judges, scored it, and it was accepted. So very interesting story.
It really
and
is,
you
yeah.
can find that photo in the catalog, because we didn't actually go back and revise the catalog, even though we notified PSA that the acceptance was withdrawn.
These are the kind of scandals that we have in the stereo photography competitive community. Yes. And I'm sure this is going to keep coming up. I'm sure they're gonna slip in.
Well, now tourists are allowed into space. You can just do a cha-cha out the window of the spacecraft, get that shot.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was actually a guy who bought a W3 award. Been trying to get him on your show.
Years ago, I saw some W3 shots from the International Space Station.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the astronaut, and the ones that I saw were unfortunately all anaglyph, and I could never find, I'm sure they never posted the original MPOs.
He lost them.
Oh, are you serious? Oh, that's tragic. Lost in space. Well, I would imagine the anaglyphs are still floating around on the web. So yes, W3 did make it into space. At least one that we know of. All right, guys. Well, does anyone have anything else they'd like to add before we call it a night? Thank you for sticking with us. I promised first I threatened that we'd go over, then I promised we wouldn't, and now here we are. I'm wondering if maybe we should just lengthen our meetings to, instead of from 7 to 9, make them from 7 to 10 Pacific time. That might be a late night for some of us, but
just make them 8 hours with a lunch break in between.
Okay, there we go.
And then overtime we can book.
All right.
Charge for it.
I would if I could. You've described my future goals. All right, guys. Hey, great meeting. Thank you for your patience with me. I will see everyone. I hope to see everyone again next week on the 12th. And again, if you have any retinal rivalry photos you would like to share, or if you'd like to resubmit any photos that we looked at tonight, send them along. Please get them to me by Sunday. Look at the website for directions, and we'll see you then. All right, guys. Good night, all.
Bye.
Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.